Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
People of Reddit, what do you miss about the COVID lockdown period? The empty roads. My god, the empty roads. Don't forget the cheap gas. Driving was the best during lockdown. It was the best month to be an Uber Eats driver. Empty streets, cheap gas, tons of orders at every restaurant, generous tips, and people started requesting us to drop off their food at the door rather than wait for them to answer. Think I averaged $40 per hour that month. I am a nurse and had to go to work every day. The lack of traffic in Dallas was glorious. The silence, especially in the first days when the lockdown started. The whole world around me got silent. No more cars, no machines in the distance, no airplanes flying above. Just sound of nature and a gentle breeze. I loved it. In July 2020, it dawned on me that there were practically no airplanes in the sky. I ventured out to get a night sky shot I'd been dreaming about. https://s0jwnp3nlea51.jpg. Edit. Thanks for the kind words. I have to add a caveat that you can't see the night sky like this with the naked eye. It requires long exposure photography. I actually saved a lot of money. I finished paying off my school debt and saved some. Unfortunately, inflation caught up and now I'm playing jump between the red and black. Not having a cold for 2 years. And the resulting sick leave culture that's coming out of the pandemic. I can't speak for other areas, but I live in a fairly liberal city with mandatory sick leave. And people seem to take the concept of, stay home if you're sick, a lot more seriously now. Plus there's been a decently sized culture of people who wear masks if they have the sniffles or a cold, and I love that it seems so obvious now. Even this hard Trumper who was a regular at my old workplace was grateful when I told him I was recovering from a cold, so I was wearing a mask so I didn't spread it. I suspect that my lack of using the word COVID had something to do with that though. I've still managed to avoid getting COVID, but since returning to in-person work I've gotten just about every other cold under the sun. I haven't gone 2 solid weeks without a cough and a runny nose in the past 6 months. We managed to avoid getting COVID, flu, RSV etc. for the entire 2020, 2021 and first 6 months of 2022. And then one person at a gathering gave COVID to everyone. They were symptomatic and still decided they didn't need to isolate. Commuting, reduced to none. 100% WFH. And the occasional trips to the office taking 10 minutes instead of an hour. I do miss empty roads. My company had record years in 2020 and 21. So naturally we're being told to come back to the office. Geniuses. Same. They keep spouting the line, you can't correlate our success with working from home. Quote. But fail to address that we were that successful while working from home and that the default maybe shouldn't be working in the office. The wild animals exploring cities being all like, where'd the noisy apes go? OMG. Turkeys everywhere. Turkeys not everywhere, is between Europe and Middle East. Everyone was just like, just get what you can done. Finished university during COVID and last semester was like, fuck it. I'm passing everybody on the final. We're all dying. Have a great summer. I also finished my degree during COVID and got to say I think that's what retirement will feel like. For me, school was relatively easy and only had to be on Zoom like 1 to 2 times a week. Worked out at home with my roommates. Started playing guitar, painting, reading again. I guess I just finally had time to enjoy my hobbies again. I miss it sometimes. I had a rough time with 2020 for a reason opposite to most. It gave me time to cook, pursue hobbies, and made me realign my priorities. It made me realize my life satisfaction doesn't come from working a job at all. I started therapy after things reopened because the return to more traditional work was like an anvil dropped on my newfound happiness. Overall, I realized how much I had lied to myself about the inherent value of hard work. And about how if I didn't have work to motivate me I wouldn't get anything done. None of that is true. Having the excuse to not go anywhere. I'm a homebody so it didn't bug me one bit. No one expected me to go anywhere. It was nice. I am not a homebody but the parks, running trails, and even streets with less cars was amazing. I would just go outside in the spring and run every day. It was serene. Walk everywhere. The reduction in air and noise pollution. So true. There is a hill nearby my house. After lockdown I went up the hill and noticed mountains in the distance that I never saw before. I saw this too. Horizon suddenly further away. Was never sure if it was just false perception. Many don't know this but COVID was never supposed to be released as a standalone DLC so they added extra rendering distance to make it worth t. Just rest. Honestly. It was the first time in a lot of people's lives where they weren't expected to work or do anything. Just live. It was nice. Edit. Obviously not everyone had the same experience. I was working retail during it too. I was mainly aiming for the real lockdown where nothing but supermarkets were open. Hence my job was closed. But I see everyone who went through hell then and are still going through it now with little to no thanks or relief. I'm sorry. Thank you for your service to the world when we needed it most if you were working during the time. Even if you weren't, I wish everyone gets the pay raise, new job, etc. they deserve. If no one's told you, you're doing a great job. Happy and healthy new year to everyone. Right, I actually got on a totally normal and healthy schedule, naturally. Low anxiety, felt really good for a change. I miss that so much. Thought I was weird for feeling this way during COVID, perfectly sums it up.